Hello, my sisters. Happy New Year. It seems I am coming back to work and probably in a new way that is reshaping itself even as we speak. I don't know what it's exactly going to look like. But I do want to share some information about something I'm really passionate about, and that is about making sure that these new children that are here right now retain their limitlessness. And I want to just sort of relay a couple of interactions I had with some of my nieces over the holidays. So I hadn't seen them in a while. And they're teenagers now. They're teenagers now, and yes, teenagers are the new children. Absolutely. You know, as I say in my book, and as I say in many places on my website, these new children are of a higher frequency than we are, just like we were a higher frequency than our parents. They remember more of what they came here to do. They have a stronger connection to home and purpose. However, that doesn't mean that they are, I can't find the word right now. It doesn't mean they're not susceptible to forgetting their limitlessness. And there's so much information coming in, and I just kind of want to tie it all together. But a large part of the reason there has been a delay in those high vibrating mamas to be, there's been one of the big reasons is there's been a delay, and I say this in my book, is that the earth had to be of a certain resonance to be able to handle these frequency of children coming in. But then also, the parents themselves had to reach their own frequency, their own level of limitlessness, so they could bring in these children and have a relationship that is based on the inner divinity and the limitlessness. So, that's why so many have been waiting, but there are waves coming in. We saw a first wave last year in 2018, and these are women that have been trying for years. I personally saw a wave of women on this website welcoming their children, and that wave is just going to continue. So if you have been waiting a while, this is why the earth had to be a certain frequency, which it is right now, and then the parents had to be a certain frequency. There is so much work we had to do, so much we had to shed, so much we had to unlearn before we can welcome in these children in a harmonious partnership. So, but what I want to talk about right now are really the teenagers and the older kids. My brother's daughter in particular, I want to talk about her, because I've always known that she, came here for very specific reasons. And God love my brother and my sister-in-law. They are steeped in the old patterns, and that is no judgment. That's just the role they came here to play. And the role my niece came to play is to kind of break down those barriers, all right? My niece knows she is a starseed, which means she knows she's had an experience in being, a mortal being on another planet, and she had the ascension experience here and is now coming here to have the ascension experience. So she knows this higher dimensional stuff. She can write light language and stuff like that. But then I can also see how she's had a bit of limited thinking put into her, and I'm just there to yank that back out. And here's just a simple example, and one I'm very, very passionate about. So, we're at my parents' house. My mom made chocolate cake for dessert, and she loved the chocolate cake. She's 16 years old. She's slim, she's healthy, she's active, and she's like, oh, I love chocolate cake so much. It was so good. And so I asked her if she wanted another piece. And she said, I would always have another piece, but should I have another piece? And I don't want to see these children, and this is such a passionate topic for me that I'm going to talk about it in so many ways. I don't want to see them looking at food in a judgmental way. And I know this goes against human nature, and even against the light workers who believe we have to eat a certain way to be healthy. And this, I just want to say, no, 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 no. And so what I said to her, and then, it was my three kids, my niece, and a nephew. And, they're talking about the chocolate cake, and they're talking about, are donuts healthy? And that's just when I descended. I said, listen, this is very important for you to understand, and you already know this, so I am just going to remind you. I said, it doesn't matter about the food. It matters what you think about the food. If you think that it's going to do you harm, it will. If you think that you can eat it and it's benign, then it is. I said, there is nothing about food that you have to fear. It's all consciousness. And so I told my niece, I said, yes, you can eat a second piece of cake and it's fine. Your body knows what to do with it. And so I gave her a mantra that I use, and I said, try this, eat the cake in joy, and then tell yourself, this body is in perfect balance, independent of food, sleep, or circumstances. And she said, does it work? I said, yes, it works. If you believe it works, it works. She said, I like that. That makes sense. And so this is what I want to instill, is that these children, they are susceptible to losing a little bit of the limitlessness, because that's just part of the human nature of being here and being steeped in this fear and doubt and lack and all the rest of the crap. However, once they hear truth, they know it, and it's a click. I believe that clicked for her. Absolutely. So this is such a huge part of my own mothering. I don't want my children to be afraid of food, and I don't want them to judge food. And yes, I want them to listen to their bodies. And if their body is saying that they don't want that thing right now, I want them to know, well, this is just temporary. You don't want it right now, but you can maybe have it another time. And I tell this to everybody who has food allergies or something like this. I'm just saying, look, this is making you sick right now, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be like this. You just might need a little break and then a rewiring, and then you can go back. I am so passionate about people not being afraid of food. It really is consciousness. So I'm going to start this whole series. I want us to have these conversations with the children. For so long I'm telling you how to parent, or how I parent. But I want to involve the children in these conversations. Like, how do we talk to our children about these things? So it's still being worked in my mind, but that's one of the things. And another thing, another example was my niece was working on some homework, and this was in October. We were there for my father-in-law's funeral, and anyway, she was having to work on stuff, and she said she had to do her homework because she got like a D in history. And I didn't say it because I didn't know how her parents would feel about it, but this is what I wanted to say. Well, actually, I did say it. I did say it doesn't matter. But I didn't get into all of it. This niece is a very talented artist. She's also a very bright person. I mean, a shining light. And I just wanted to sit down and tell her, it doesn't matter what you got on that history test. It doesn't matter to your life purpose. Don't worry about it. Don't fret. This doesn't define who you are. You are an amazing artist. And if you don't know that it was Eli Whitney who invented the cotton gin, it doesn't matter one tiny bit. This is what I want to tell the children, that these things that adults have let define them was appropriate in the old energy, and what was appropriate for our generation is not appropriate for the next generation. And I say this in my book, us parents right now have the hardest job, because we have to unlearn everything that has been going on for eons and eons of time in consciousness and relearn the higher consciousness. These kids coming in, they will have a little bit of relearning to do. The younger and younger they are, the less relearning they're going to have to do. They're just going to come in knowing. They're going to come in knowing. The teenagers now, they know it. They have to be reminded. We need to speak sanity to them. And this is one of my huge passions right now. So I just want to point you to the direction of a blog post I did back in January of 2015. It's more relevant now than ever. Things your future child will not fall for. It's things that your child will not fall for now, whether you're a teenager or a toddler or a baby. These are things we have to take into consideration because the old systems are being busted down. And then there's this other video, what your high vibrational child wants you to know. Let's speak sanity to these children. Let's speak limitlessness to these children. Let's speak divinity to these children, which is why we have so much work to do, because we cannot nurture that in our children what we haven't nurtured in ourselves first. And if you're watching this, you're already on the path. You're already doing it. You're already of a high vibration. But there's not many people yet talking about limitlessness, especially when it comes to the families of light. And if you're watching this, you are a family of light or a future family of light. Your spirit babies are talking to you. Your children, your toddlers are turning you in different directions. I parent extremely different than how I was parented. And not because I'm rebelling against how I was parented, but because I know that my children need a different way. And so I want to help support that. So look at those two videos that I am encouraging today. What your future child, no, what your high vibrational child wants you to know, and things your future child will not fall for. Let's have a dialogue here of the inner divinity. It's so important. Okay, all that being said, I am opening up 3 spots this month for readings. And now the prerequisite is you have to have read my book first. That way we're on the same page and I don't have to waste any time explaining things. 3 spots are open, and these are open for if you're trying to conceive or if you already have children. I did one of my favorite readings was doing a reading for a mom who had 2 young kids and was worried about their TV watching or video games or stuff like that. And I love doing all this. I love saying, this is how you look at this. This is the expanded view of this. So if you have children and want a reading, or how can we parent these children from a place of limitlessness, I would love to do that. Also, if you have children that are looking to explore their limitlessness or divinity, I would be open to doing readings for children as well if they have questions. So have read my book first, okay, at least the moms, so you have a framework. And then if you want to reserve a spot for one of these 3 readings, send me an email, okay, with the issues and concerns you want me to address. So you ask me the questions via email, and I do a video response, which is about half an hour. Now, these are going to be $350 a piece, okay? So take that into consideration, but know that if you're expanding into your limitless, you can just say the money I need flows to me, all right? I want to work with advanced souls that are not in these energy fighting. So what you can expect from a reading would be me to give you the expanded picture of why you've experienced what you've experienced, how it's been divinely orchestrated, what it means from the spirit baby realm, or from what it means from the higher dimensions. And then also, it's like me guiding you into a new paradigm in another world. And there's also, in the past year, there's been healings. If you need a healing, there's been healings involved in these. So the energy coming in through right now through these readings is very, very strong. So if you need a healing, if you need validation, encouragement, if you just are done with things the way they have been and know there's a new way, but you don't know what it is, send me an email. It's below here, katestreet@comcast.net, and I will either say yes, I can help you, or I can point you in a direction that I think will help you. Okay, so for the months of January, there's 3 open readings for $350, and open a dialogue too with these children that you have. Speak to them of their divinity. Ask them where they were before this. They will remember. If they're young and pre-verbal, talk to them when they're sleeping. Ask to share a dream with them. It's time for these families of light to thrive. It's time to thrive and time for us all to be born in our divinity. This year, 2019, is going to be unlike anything we have seen before. And I will talk more about that later. All right, I'll catch you next time. Bye.